Hello and welcome to the latest Ogcast. Today's date is the 17th of March 2021. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Our great day in Dublin. It was just the Irish Intelligence Service did very well, and we were all out on a rabbit hunt, and nothing happened. The Irish people are great people, but changes are coming, and people need to pay for their crimes still. And anyway, I did the numbers and the charts today on the Isle of Man of all places. Now, I've seen the videos from Isle of Man. They went into strict lockdowns and whatever. And they came out of it, and, they're kind of their little island in between the UK and Ireland. It actually made some sense to me. I'm still a little bit inspired from yesterday, and I'm not going to do the numbers at all. I want to continue. I'm on Zero Hedge, as you can see. I went to he had an article there. There you go. Trump warns border crisis. So this one here, and I'd opened it up a few hours ago. Now, there was a couple of other things I wanted to talk about. I'm going to forget. I just want to talk about this particular one here. So, I came down, and there's Trump had been interviewed by Maria B. Said, let's go. Now, warning sign here.
Welcome back. Now, this exclusive in just a moment. Former President Donald Trump will respond to President Biden's agenda, the crisis at the border, and the attacks on the Trump presidency, as the Washington Post today is forced to correct quotes of President Trump that he never made. And today, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said that the United States is facing more migrants at the border than it has in the last 20 years. But he stopped short of calling it a crisis. Joining me right now with reaction to that and a lot more is the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
We have so much.
That was odd. Is an exclusive. Listen, it was odd. Okay, I'm coming from. I've already decided what this is. But as I'm kind of, I was cooking, feeding my dogs, listening. I'm kind of walking around, but I'm listening to this audio, and I was saying, what? Anyway, let's go on, Maria, and an exclusive. Yeah, right.
To get to with you, President Biden's first order of business on January 20th and 21st was to overturn your policies at the border, immediately stop construction of the wall, triggering an onslaught of new illegal immigration. Your reaction, do you believe this would not have happened had he not overturned your policies?
Well, my policies were working better than they've ever seen on the southern border. The wall is almost complete. We just had to fix little sections.
It's almost complete. This is past tense.
Little sections that had to be.
Oh, and by the way, just in case, I'm just spoiler alert. The name is just going to be Spotting a Deepfake.
Together, we needed them in order to get the trucks back and forth from side to side, but they've chosen to stop right in the middle. They could have it finished in a month, and it would be just magnificent. It already is magnificent what it's done in the areas where it's totally completed. But just
now, can you imagine Trump now talking about that beautiful wall that when he isn't president?
Small sections are remaining, and they should finish it, but they're destroying our country. People are coming in by the hundreds of thousands. Young children are coming in, and they leave their homes, and they come up because they think it's going to be so wonderful, and frankly, our country can't handle it. It is a crisis like we've rarely had, and certainly
hear papers shuffling there in an exclusive interview while Maria is looking for what questions she's going to ask next.
We've never had on the border, but it's going to get much worse. I mean, what you're seeing now is very bad record numbers, but it's going to get much, much worse. With a little bit of time, you'll see those numbers expand at a level like you've never seen.
So, Trump is expecting here to see the number explode like they are now. But I mean, this is, he wouldn't be saying that he'd actually be quoting, they're 729% overcrowded. I mean, that's what they've been all talking about, especially Fox.
Seen before.
Well, you had 400 plus miles of
Fox logo here, but whose logo is that? I mean, it's a publicity stunt for sure. Someone paid for it. Well, let's get to the end of it. Spotting a deepfake.
new wall constructed, Mr. President. Of course, you did a deal with Mexico to share the burden.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it here and I'm going to go over to YouTube. So because it has this thing saying, watch on YouTube. I'm not going to hammer Zero Hedge for it. I've informed Zero Hedge that it's a deepfake. He can do whatever he likes.
Burden of the illegal immigration. The Remain of Mexico policy was something I know that you and Secretary Pompeo worked on for a long time. Is there any way to reverse that? What would be your advice for the Biden administration to stop the bleeding at the border?
Well, I have great respect for the president of Mexico. He's a great gentleman. We had a very good relationship. They had 28,000 soldiers.
I mean, don't answer the question, Johnny. Donnie, just go off on
our border while we were building the wall. They had 28,000 soldiers not allowing people to come into our country, and they were also stopping them at their northern border by Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala. They were stopping them so they wouldn't come through Mexico, and we had it really down to a good system. And as the wall was finished, they could remove soldiers, but they still had the same 28,000. And we had a great relationship. They understood that I was playing with tariffs if they didn't do that, but we never had to do that to Mexico because the relationship that we developed was very, very good, very close. And we stopped what was coming into Mexico at their northern border. They stopped that, and they stopped it at our southern border. So we had very few people coming in, and we also stopped human trafficking. When I say stopped it, made a tremendous dent like has never been made before, and also drug trafficking. So we did a lot of things, and all of that is now eroded. Today, they're coming in. You take a look. They're coming in from all foreign countries. I see they're coming in now from Yemen. They're coming in from the Middle East. They're coming in from everywhere. They're dropping them off, and they're pouring into our country. It's a disgrace. They're going to destroy our country if they don't.
Now, Trump here mentioning they're coming in from Yemen, that's very topical of the day, but he said that before.
Do something about it.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about this and the implications. There are sexual assaults. Mexico's president said that the cartels view President Biden as the migrant president. Look, President Trump, you've had a little time now to sit back and think about all of this. I want to get your take on President Biden's agenda, including the border, but also this stimulus package, the idea that we are on the doorstep of much higher taxes. What would be the impact, in your view, on an economy that is just beginning to recover?
Well, it was recovering under my administration twice. We got it to a level that the world has never seen before. We were the envy of the world, and then when we got hit by as I call it, the China virus, COVID, it obviously went down along with every other economy, and then we were the first to get it back up. And the stock market when I left was slightly higher than it was even at the prime prior to COVID. So it was incredible what we were able to do. If you look at the jobs numbers, we had the all-time highest number of jobs. We had 160.
I mean, have you ever heard Trump repeat the same shit? He always says the same thing. Job numbers. Look at the stock market. I mean, he said that's for the 4 years. I mean, this is just bullshit.
Million people working. We were never close to that. Everything we had, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, everybody was setting records. Women, it didn't matter. Any group was setting records. And now, when I look at what's happening, we were energy independent. Very shortly, we will no longer be energy independent. Gas prices are going up at a far more rapid rate than anybody's seen in a long time. We had gas prices very low, and yet we had more energy jobs than we've ever had. But, when you see gas prices going up, and they'll be going up by $1, $2,
Now, you're talking about all the, the energy jobs there. I mean, If I was Trump, I would have said, and the minute that dopey whore got into power, he's in jobs in that highly paid thing. But does he say that?
$3. If you look at that,
$3.
Not a single mention of the lost jobs. So this is pre-recorded. It's a deep fake. Anyway, go on. I'll kick on.
Bigger than a tax increase to the consumer.
Bigger than a tax increase to the consumer. You get $1 increase in gasoline. That's bigger than a tax hike, than a big tax hike. So it's a terrible thing that's happening. And then let's talk about tax hikes. They'll be raising taxes at the highest number that we've ever seen. It'll be the biggest tax increase in the history of our country
Trump
to pay for everything.
Stating the obvious here, because this is already happening. So, this is another put together. Anyway, here we go.
It's a very devastating thing. It's a very sad thing.
It's a very devastating thing. It's a very sad thing to watch. Fortunately, in my administration and through what I did, frankly, and others, but what I did with the FDA is I forced them to move quickly, and we got the vaccine done in 9 months instead of 5 years.
The tax hike plan. Here we go. He's pushing the vaccines. Now watch this. Now, as the next part, this is. I knew it after I heard this. I'm walking around and I'm listening to this.
I don't think it would have ever been done, frankly, because
according to their rules and regulations, they would have never had it. But we got a vaccine done in 9 months, and fortunately, that's not only going to save our country, it's going to save the world.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up, Mr. President, because we just heard from President Biden last week on Thursday. He gave his first primetime speech, as you know, and he said that when the coronavirus first showed up, and that was at the beginning of 2020, when we did have a 3.5% unemployment rate, as you just noted. But he said that when the coronavirus first arrived, it was met with silence for days and weeks and then months. There was no word of your Warp Speed program. How are you feeling tonight about the fact that you're not getting any credit for any of this by the Biden administration? In fact, even when it comes to the border, Nancy Pelosi this weekend said that the Biden administration inherited the border issues from the Trump administration.
So that was two fairly different.
So when you go
Let's see
to
what the Donnie has to say.
when you go to the COVID issue,
we did a great job. We get very little credit for it. I closed the country far earlier. Dr. Fauci and Birx and all of these people that frankly made nothing but mistakes. They didn't want to do it.
Nothing but mistakes. Who are we talking about here? Fauci. Now, this is very important there. Don't miss. Well, okay, you can always listen. Go look on my blog, the infounderground.blogspot.com. The full videos there. It's called. It'll be another one. Just the deep fake on its own. It won't be me fucking talking over it. But on we go.
Didn't want to close it to China. I closed the border to China. I closed the border to Europe,
Italy, and all these countries that were having tremendous problems long before they wanted me to do it. And if you look at Biden, he didn't want to do it months afterwards, and then ultimately he admitted that he made a mistake in saying that. If I didn't do that, we would have had hundreds of thousands of more lives gone. But the big thing is I've always felt that was the most important is the vaccine. The key was always going to be the vaccine. And when Biden got the vaccine in December, and on January 20th, he made a statement that he doesn't think we have vaccines. Now, I don't know, did he make that statement as a statement, or did he not actually know we had?
This is a little bit old, this conversation here, this part of it.
The vaccine, what's going on there? But
the vaccine. What's going on there? But he got his shot. He got his first shot on December 21st, I believe. So with the vaccines and with the job we've done with COVID, I inherited an empty cupboard. Biden failed very badly with the H1N1, with the, as you know, he had a chance to do something, and they had a tremendous failure. H1N1, it was a disaster, and now he's taking over this.
He's taken over.
Warp.
This is a few weeks old. This part, 6 weeks at least.
We had it our military. What they've done in terms
we
of
had it our military. What they've
incredible.
done in terms of delivery has been incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
And we gave up to 1.3 million shots a day before he even took over. So not only did we have the vaccine, and one thing we did, we took a big bet on this. We started manufacturing the vaccine before we really knew it worked. We saved many, many months and millions of lives by doing that, because you wouldn't have the vaccine right now if we didn't take that chance. We knew what we were doing. We knew that we felt strongly it was going to.
Took a risk. So I mean, this is and this is Trump probably something really he said, because he's a fucking lunatic. Should have known that. I'm saying you should have known. I knew that before he got elected. Anyway, it's amusing. Let's go on.
Work, and we took a risk, and the risk was spending
billions of dollars to develop it before we knew and before we had the approval that it was going to work. It works incredibly well, 95%, maybe even more than that. It works incredibly well, and it's really saving our country, and it's saving, frankly, the world.
There, I just have to.
So
there's
Mr.
another
President,
a little tidbit there. So we're talking about the videos. March 17, 2021 had 8,000 views, and Trump there just mentioned the success rate of 95%, or if there are more or whatever. That hasn't been mentioned in the last 2 weeks. It's not a subject anymore. The only subject got to do with the vaccines is AstraZeneca. We don't talk about success. Now the Russians are making their one in Italy, and so they just need vaccines everywhere. It just seems to, it's just the vaccine. And on we go.
Know that you received the vaccine, Mrs. Trump.
Know that you received the vaccine, Mrs. Trump also got the vaccine. Would you recommend to our audience that they get the?
This is mind blowing. I mean, this is. It's a deepfake. Anyway, listen. Go ahead. I'm not going to spoil it. Go ahead.
The vaccine then?
I would recommend it, and I would recommend it.
I would recommend it to a lot of people that don't want to get it, and a lot of those people voted for me, frankly. But again, we have our freedoms, and we have to live by that. And I agree with that also. But it's a great vaccine. It's a safe vaccine, and it's something that works. And we've been working round the clock.
This is pre-recorded. Whoever adding in the Michelle B voice here tries to cut him off. Not very successful. What, John?
I got the FDA to do this would have happened. This would have happened in many, many years from now if I didn't get involved, and if we didn't get involved.
Yeah, tell me more about that. I remember you were talking about, when you were in office, you were talking about the meeting that you held with the major pharmaceutical company heads, and you were garnering all of their support to work together to ensure that a vaccine was on the market as soon as possible. And you said that one issue that you were trying to do was to alleviate any bureaucracies within the FDA. How was it that you were able to encourage a vaccine on the market within 9 months? That was quite extraordinary.
Well, I wouldn't say the FDA loves me, but I pushed them very, very hard, harder than they've ever been pushed. And a number of the people in the FDA admitted that, and at the end they were very happy.
That's not the Oxter adding that in. The Oxter's just calm there, sitting back watching.
They did not like me. In fact, they wanted to.
They wanted to announce it sometime after the election, because they just didn't. I think most people knew we pretty much had the vaccine before the election, but they wanted to announce it along with the drug companies, who are not fans of mine, because if you look at favored nations and all of the things I've done to bring down drug prices, nobody's ever done what I've done. But that cost the drug companies a lot of money. In fact, they took tens of millions of dollars of commercials. So they wanted to announce the vaccine after, and I understand that, but somebody had to do it. You will see drug prices, if Biden leaves it alone, you will see drug prices. Favored nations means we get the price of the lowest nation. Whoever pays the lowest, we get that price. Right now, we're the highest in the world. We will be the lowest in the world, meaning tied for the lowest in the world. The drug companies were very unhappy with that. They never thought anybody would do it, but I did it. So with the vaccine, I pushed the FDA at a level that they've never been pushed before, and they got it done in 9 months instead of 5 years. Now, the 5 years I think would have never happened, because I don't think they would have ever gotten gotten it done.
Mr. President, I want to ask you about future elections and your thoughts on this H.R. 1 bill that the Democrats are pushing. But first, let's talk about the Washington Post and what took place yesterday, with the Washington Post being forced to correct what you told the Secretary of State of Georgia. The Washington Post initially accused you of a crime based on fabricating quotes, and the rest of the media ran with it. The Post correction says this: the recording revealed that the Post misquoted Trump's comments on the call based on information provided by a source. Trump did not tell the investigator to find the fraud or say she would be.
This actually is, find the fraud. I mean, it was a complete fake, another fake news story by Trump. And look at the night it happened. And this is a huge win for Trump here. That's, he knew it was fake news. So here's just more evidence that, it was stacked against him, like him or not, like him or dislike him. And listen to his answer. Now, if this was the real Trump answering in real time, he's the spin master. Okay, let's listen to what this deepfake says.
A national hero if she did so.
A national hero if she did so. I know you put out a statement about this story, Mr. President, but tell us what your reaction is that the Washington Post had to correct this fake news that they reported that you told the Secretary of State of Georgia to find the fraud and find the votes right before the Senate race.
It probably affected the Senate race.
It was, and it probably affected the Senate race, but it was a terrible thing, and I will say this, I was very happy that...
Are you shitting me? Are you shitting me?
The Washington Post had the courage, or whatever you want to call it.
The Washington Post had the courage, or whatever you want to call it, to at least admit their mistake. I hope it was a mistake, but I think probably it came from the people in Georgia that run an election process.
If Trump had got him, okay, let's play it on.
Process that frankly is just
absolutely terrible when you look at the things that went on in Georgia. So I don't know that the Washington Post may have been told that. They didn't hear it because it didn't exist, but they were told something that didn't exist. And it made me sound bad. And I think, when I heard it, I said, that's ridiculous. I never said that. One thing I will say, the Washington Post did a correction. A lot of pressure was put on them, but they did a correction because they realized what they did was wrong. So now you have to find out, was it the Washington Post fault or the people that run the elections in Georgia? Because the people that run the elections in Georgia...
This is classic. This is beautiful.
They have to be looked at, whether it was a Secretary of State.
They have to be looked at, whether it was a Secretary of State or, frankly, the governor of the state. Things went on there between the presidential election, which I can tell you about, or you look at the two Senate elections. That is such a shame that happened. Everything that you've been talking about on your show today is affected by those two seats. Those two seats are devastating that we lost. And the Republicans, frankly, were fighting for $600 versus $2,000. And that was the only ad that the Democrats took. That was
the 17th of March. This is 6 weeks old. Some of these parts are at least 6 weeks old.
Disaster. They should not have been doing
disaster. They should not have been doing that. Mitch McConnell made a tremendous mistake. He lost those two seats.
Well, I don't understand why the other networks at the time, Mr. President, said that we have confirmed this independently, that he said find the fraud. I mean, how is it possible that we have now the tape. You said nothing of the sort, find the fraud. And this is the quote that they all went with, and they said that they verified it independently. How is that possible?
Actually, when you hear the tape, you would say Donald Trump may be the most honest person. It was a beautiful and perfect statement, and the Washington Post saw that when they heard it, and I guess they were relying on the statement without hearing
Obviously, you heard the
what was said.
beep in
But they were
amateur. Obviously not the Augsburg. I didn't think Aug is adding his voice.
Lying on the statement made by people in Georgia.
Lying on the statement made by people in Georgia.
There might be an ambulance in the background.
That run the elections. It's a very terrible thing.
That run the elections. It's a very terrible thing. A very, very terrible thing for our country. What took place in Georgia, but not only Georgia, what took place in Pennsylvania, what took place in...
This is old news.
Detroit, Michigan, and Michigan generally.
Detroit, Michigan, and Michigan generally. What took place in Wisconsin and Arizona, it is a disgrace. We're like a third country.
The person adding in Maria's questions screwed up there.
We had mail-in balloting because of
COVID, but now Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats want this H.R. 1 to stand. They wanted to pass the Senate so that mail-in ballots could be the standard.
Now,
what are your thoughts on H.R.
17th of March? Now, I've known about H.R. 1 for several months, so which is a sellout of the elections. So all elections for me are already over after Trump. There's no more elections. So let's see what he says. I forget what he says about this.
Mr. President, but first, will you run again?
Okay, there's the big question. Will you run again?
Well, let me ask you. Let me answer the first question.
Let me answer the first question. The other question, I think it would be a disaster for our country. It would be very unfair. The Democrats use COVID in order to do things that they can't believe they got away with. What they did.
I absolutely, totally agree with what they got away with, the level of cheating. Now, which I have analysed at a very low level, and I can prove it for another show. But there was fraud carried out by the voting machines. I guarantee that. Go ahead, Donnie.
And they didn't get their legislatures to approve.
And by the way, in the Constitution, you have to do that. And our Supreme Court and our courts didn't have the courage to overturn elections that should have been over.
Donnie, are you going to run again? And he's waffling on about, that no one, the High Court didn't come and save him, whatever. All news, fake.
Returned because you're talking about
decisive amounts, hundreds of thousands and even millions of votes. They didn't have in the Constitution. It says the state legislatures have to approve change.
Okay, it's getting tiring. Go on. We have about 5 minutes to go. Yeah, the last 3 minutes are watching. Worth watching. Here we go. Go ahead, Donnie.
They made massive changes early.
Just before the election in some cases, and they made massive changes that not even mentioning all of the other things and all of the dishonesty in the election.
You see, he's not listening. This is pre-recorded. He's just yapping on, and the person inserting the fake question from Maria B is slow on the job. Now, I don't even know how to do any of this. I presume I could learn that fairly quickly. It seems this idiot can't do it.
Did not approve these changes.
Therefore, they're not allowed. And the Supreme Court, they didn't rule on the facts. They ruled on standing. Well, you don't have standing to bring it. The Supreme Court should be ashamed of itself.
Well, I mean, this H.R. 1, that would federalize these elections. So going forward, can a Republican win again?
When Trump answered, Maria B said, and they inserted, Trump said, but it's not a voice, it's a glimp. I don't know about software editing. I must look into it. But this is a deepfake anyway.
If H.R. 1 becomes law.
If H.R. 1 becomes law.
If they allow that to happen, I think your Republicans will have a very hard time getting elected. What will happen is the Democrats will be able to do what they did in the 2020 election, and potentially even worse. It's set up It is a setup that they can't believe, and it's because of the fact that the Republicans lost 2 seats that they never should have lost in Georgia, and they never should have, if they were watching and doing their job, they should have never lost the presidential election in Georgia or 5 other swing states. Should have never happened. When you look at what they did, and when you look at the dishonesty and all of the things that took place in that election, this should have never happened. And they have to stop
Mr.
that
President,
bill.
so what about it? What about it? Will you run
Okay.
again, Mr. President? Are you?
Will you run again, Mr. President? I mean, he never mentioned HR1, so we've all spotted it's a deep fake. We're going to play the last few minutes. However, I'm at 29 minutes, and what I'm going to do is pause my recording, and I need to take a quick spin with one of my dogs, and I'll be back, and we'll finish up the video. But the next part is really good. The next part is really clear, and for I hope the video will be shared on, and obviously not me blathering on about it, but the actual video, the actual one that I first uploaded, the deepfake I called it. I called it something else because Bush, I said, where is Donnie's brain? Where? Because he talked about vaccines. He talked about the elections and different bullshit. Which first thing that came to mind is on Twitter, and now with it's a new function for me, is actually analyzing something in near real time and calling it a fucking fake. I mean, shit. Here, no, actually, I'm going to pause this. Sort out my little dog. I'll be back. You won't miss me. I'll be back in a sec.
And frankly, we'll make our decision after that. But you know what? If you take a look at the polls, Maria, when you take a look at what's happening on our southern border, when you take a look at what's happening with energy independence, which will be gone in 2 months, and we had it for the first time ever. We had it. And prices were low. When you take a look at all of the things, and then when you add the fact that I was the one, and this administration was the one that came up with a vaccine, which is going to save the world, okay? It's going to save. We would be, I think, worse than 1917, where 50 to 100 million people died.
Sure.
The vaccine is such a big thing. When you add it all up, I think we'll do very well in 2 years, and I think we're going to do very.
The vaccine, we have how many? 6, 7, 8. I don't know. The Russians have one. I'm going to make that in Italy. The Brits have a very dodgy one. The US has lots of dodgy ones. Moderna, J&J, all very, very dodgy. I mean, if you're in good health and you have a good immune system, why take it?
Very well in 4 years.
Is there anyone, if you weren't going to run, is there anyone that you think of that is a front runner behind you right now?
Well, I like a lot of them, and a lot of them I've been responsible for. You know, I mean, I've endorsed people that won. I've endorsed people that didn't have a chance, and as soon as I...
So, sorry there. Donny boy, are you going to run? There was only one question in all of the interview, if it was real, was, are you going to run? And then you're going on now about more nonsense. But let's go on, and you need to get back.
I endorsed them. They went up by many, many points, and they won. And I'm doing that again. It seems that the endorsements carry a lot of weight, and that's good.
Isn't it? Yes, they do. Mr. President, I'm glad you came on to talk about all of the success that you had in your term, because it certainly was significant. As we wrap up here, Mr. President, what was your take on Meghan Markle now saying she, meeting with Democrat operatives, she may want to run for president?
Well, I hope that happens, because if that happened, then I think I'd have an even stronger feeling toward running. I'm not a fan of hers. I think that what she talks about the royal family and the Queen, I happen to think, I know the Queen, as you know. I've met with the Queen, and I think the Queen is a tremendous person, and I'm not a fan of Meghan.
Mr. President, it's wonderful to catch up with you once again.
I'm not a fan of Meghan. I mean, that's it's a week old.
And please come back soon. Stay well.
Thank you.
Okay, there you go. I just want to go back and replay a part of this. We're at about 19 minutes 36 into it again.
got involved. I worked very hard. I made tremendous amounts of meetings, speeches, and teleconferences and everything else for 56 of them. I had 56 basic teleconferences with thousands of people on the line on each one. And what happened is we ended up winning 15 seats instead of losing potentially 25 seats. That's a big swing. And it almost cost Nancy Pelosi a job. I think we have a chance of taking back the House. I think we have a chance to do better in the Senate. We need leadership in the Senate, which frankly we don't have. We need better leadership in the Senate. You have a good chance to take back the Senate.
And he repeats himself. He goes into...
Look at what's happening with energy independence, which will be gone after that. But you know what? If you take a look at the polls, Maria, when you take a look at what's happening on our southern border, when you take a look at what's happening with energy independence, which will be gone in 2 months, and we had it for the first time ever, we had it. And prices were low. When you take a look at all of the things, and then when you add the fact that I was the one, and this administration was the one that came up with a vaccine, which is going to save the world, okay? It's going to save. We would be, I think, worse than, and a lot of them I've been responsible for. You know, I mean, I've endorsed people that won. I've endorsed people that didn't have a chance, and as soon as I endorsed them, they went up by many, many points, and they won. And I'm doing that again. You know, it seems that the endorsements carry a lot of weight, and that's good.
Isn't it? Yes, they do. Mr. President, I'm glad you came on to talk about all of the success that you had in your term, because it certainly was significant. As we wrap up here, Mr. President, what was your take on Meghan Markle now saying she, meeting with Democrat operatives, she may want to run for president?
Well, I hope that happens, because if that happened, then I think I'd have an even stronger
this part is about a week old, but anyway, go ahead.
Feeling toward running. I'm not a fan of hers. I think that what she talks about the royal family and the Queen.
Mr. President, you're going to remember the actual question, and he kind of just said there he will run if he's running against this person here. I don't know what her name is, Merkel. I think she's Chancellor of Germany or something. I don't know who this person is here. But so Trump said, yeah, he would run again. Now, her question was, would you run again, Mr. President? So he'd run against this person here, who is in the news all the time. I don't know who she is. Any sort of thing, I don't read that. So, complete deep fake. We played that for the last couple of seconds.
I happen to think, I know the Queen, as you know. I've met with the Queen, and I think the Queen is a tremendous person, and I'm not a fan of Meghan.
Mr. President, it's wonderful to catch up with you once again. Please come back soon. Stay well.
Thank you very much, Maria.
So, you have to remember it was live, and it was on this, it's gained, I think, 4 new subscribers, 48 champ. Let me have a look if I've anything else to show you. Let's see if Zero Hedge is still running the story. So it's going to reload the page to see if the video's been now. We need to check out this one tomorrow on Zero Hedge, see if it's still up. So I have told Zero Hedge. Listen, it could be a paid publicity. It could be a very paid publicity. I haven't even listened. I can't look at Joe because he makes such gaffes. I've seen so many, and now that I've spotted a deep fake, originating from my sources, Zero Hedge. I mean, it could have come from anywhere else, but that one particular came from Zero Hedge. What is real? Coronaviruses, if they are real, whatever. Over a year lockdown, I've done all the numbers and charts. Got to learn about lots and lots of new things. And you know, when I was growing up, I grew up in Ireland, but I arrived in Switzerland when I was 18 for the first time, and I got to meet some dissidents, Vietnam War vets, Indians. I'm talking your real Indians, Navajo, other Indian tribes. I won't mention any names because I don't want to make a mess of them. But Tony Fingers, I met the guy. He's a great guy. You know, a lot of people say he has some bad habits or whatever. These guys are over the UN. They bought into this complete Marxist. Everything is free, and I could talk in committees and all this instead of earning. Geneva is also a city of the UN, and all these international places talking shite, costing a fortune, which is for the if I was in power now, if the Oxter was in power, life would be simpler. We need to cut a lot of fat out of everywhere. The left would, I'm not saying be spanked, but they'd have to start to learn how to fund themselves. So drag the left, and especially the extreme left, towards the centre. Now, that's not going to happen overnight. And drag all the extreme billionaires from either side, confiscate all their shit, and share that amongst the human things. Some people are going to be a little bit higher than others, and we need to work that out as a society. Social media could have been a lot better. I mean, we could have had. I think we're. You think I'd know this. You think I'd know this. Well, actually, I do know. I posted it this morning. This is my project. I'm at edition 364. I think I'm getting to 366, and that's, leap year, and I'm done. I've done all the numbers, done lots of things. It's a total hoax. Population of the planet this morning, according to Worldometers, which is an ongoing, they add a particular amount of people every day in a particular country. For example, if you look at India, and I looked at this, I've been looking at this data for over a year. India, they add, 31,500 people every day, or 31,200, maybe, and it's accelerating a little bit. They have their little algorithm. I noticed over my studies here, Italy is losing population. Albania is losing population. What else do I remember from the numbers? I mean, most places are going up. So here we are at 7.852 billion people on the planet. Now, when I started on this, we were 7.8, 4 point something. I need to go back to my very first one. They talk about a killer disease, but even against the new people are born, there's still nothing. There's still nothing. And I'm seeing numbers kind of differently, and we need a solution, and the solution is coming to the centre only for the people. And I'm not against people that smart people making more. I have no problem with that. But you can't have one guy that has 500 billion and he buys pieces of shit. I don't know. But then you say then the artists don't get paid. Why don't everyone do a little bit, and then it's not always down to the slave class that do all the fucking work, like the delivery guys and the people working factories and all this shit. All the guys in these offices now, they're all at home proving the point, doing their Zoom meetings in their fucking underwear. And then you have this working class that we absolutely depend on. I'm not talking about the people at the post, I'm talking about people at the supermarkets. And I have strong disagreements with all these people about the mask, but they're the people doing all the work, and then you have all the people living off them. And then you have some people that are really living off everything. And for what? And for what? So, I was talking about social media. And I go back before the internet. So, I'm a computer IT person. I started with 24-bit modem. My first modem installation was a 24-baud modem that you hooked up to the telephone line, and we used to dial into BBSs. And these were, now we already had the PC, so I'm not so sure what year it was, so it's after 1985, 86, so a little bit after this. A few years, I'm not so sure. For the first PC. And you used to dial into these bulletin boards. You could download different software running in DOS that you could use. And then that modem went to 9,600, went to 13,300, 14.4 modems, 28K modems, 33K modems, 56K modems. Then we got ISDN, 64. Then you could double that channel. You had 128K. Tonight I'm sitting here with 1 giga line. Let me actually show you this. This is let me give you a little demonstration in real time. So I'm going local to local. Okay, is there... No, I'm not so sure what's going to happen here, but we have to end this. We have to end the masks. The only thing we have to stop, the vaccines and all that shit, you're going up against the pharmacies and big pharma and all of this. But the thing that we need to stop is the masks, mask wearers. They're the problem. Anywhere around the world. Now, I have access to, certain limited places, a couple of countries that I follow, and they're all mask wearing. And those people wearing the mask are the only visible sight that there was ever a pandemic, that there wasn't in this year. It was a very, very light flu. I have the numbers here. I move this a little bit. I can move this a little bit. The worst place affected is Gibraltar. I mean, come on, then the Czech Republic, England, Belgium, Slovenia. But survival rates, so the world result was 0.03%. But if you look to a place like Gibraltar, you got to nearly to 0.3%. You come down to, down here it's nothing. It's nothing. It's statistically nothing. Now, I'm not saying the people that died were statistically nothing. One of those was my mom, so no disrespect. But it goes down to age and comorbidities, and I've done this now I'm tired. 364 days, I pointed out the 99. The 99.99. I never get away from the 666 or any Masonic thing. I just always concentrated on our survival rate. This is my first pandemic, and I went the numbers way and logic and charts and things I can prove and can't prove. And I'm getting to the end of this because it's pointless. I mean, we're already into a second year, so I should really start again. So the small number of people that died this year against the population, you see, it's going nowhere. So I'll do to 366, and then it's over. I might make an occasional update just for fun on attacking people on Twitter or something like that. Everything is automated anyway. I need one upload on everything, so a couple of uploads and I'm done here. So this is all automated. I'll use it from time to time. But if I ever want to rerun the numbers on Belgium, I mean, for all the horror stories, 0.2 of what, of one, is nothing. It's percentage wise, but they would have died of other things, cancer, pneumonia, whatever. It's just that this year we looked at COVID-19, and I've proved that there's nothing. I've done it over and over again. I'm not going to do that again. I think that's the end. Spotted a deepfake. What's next? I'm kind of maybe looking for a format, another format. Already I'm done with this, but This is an information war. I've been involved since 2003, my awakening, 2004 was very active, and I've never stopped. And it's an information war. We're trying to save our own people, and 97% of them will never be helped, and most of them will hate us. And we don't wish any harm on anyone. We're trying to save everyone from very powerful people, and I can't say these powerful people on the left because I'd sound like an idiot, but they use the left. We're talking about the elites. They have no allegiances. Augie out. Have a nice day, morning, evening. Good night.